bro, my name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Okay, so I know this video is kind of late, but, it's the first week of December, who cares? But today, we're going to be doing the all 16 films that I saw in the month of November of 2020, the retro films that I saw in November of 2022. So we're going to go ahead and get started in ranking all 16 of those. I know the title for the video I uploaded this week was 17, but unfortunately I couldn't see that 17th film, so it's fine. Now, for some reason, I just could not get into this film. This film was just not very good. It felt like a documentary, but at the same time had some of that war aesthetic to it. And I don't know, I wasn't interested into the story, and honestly, it was mostly boring to me, so it comes in last place. Now, this was a movie that I don't know why I watched this. This was weird. Because, it felt like an action movie, a spy movie. It didn't really have any action. It had, all these weird performances from people. And, talking about these sort of different parties and everything. And I don't know. I just could not get into this movie, so that's why it comes down low at the bottom of the list. Now, Aliens of the Deep was an interesting movie. It definitely had this documentary style of, exploring the sea and everything, and the universe and everything. But it mostly just saved the Aliens of the Deep stuff until the very last second of the film. And I don't really understand why they did that when this whole film just felt like a documentary, but at the same time, felt like it actually introduced a different world. That's not the best way to do it. I feel like it should have just been a movie with him directing a new world with stuff. But honestly, the film was kind of cool, I guess. Now, this is a movie that I did like. The two leads have a good relationship, and overall, it's just a pretty good story. Not my favorite kind of movie, but it's a cool little story. Now, this is another movie that just, once again, it does stuff that the original film did better, and honestly, it works, so I did like this more. Now, this is a movie that, once again, I think it's actually the best of the franchise, where they really just explore an idea of what if these people actually went to college, and how would their relationship still work out. And I think it would actually be a nice little story, and them keeping their boundaries together, and it would be really it's a nice little story. So I really enjoyed this film. This is a film I watched because I'm trying to watch the Robert Downey Jr. filmography, and this film happened to come out for this, and it was actually pretty good. It had some nice characters, had some a cool story, and overall, I just enjoyed this film a good bit. Now, this movie is actually pretty good. This is my Thanksgiving movie pick. And this was actually just an overall pretty good film. Now, obviously, it's not the greatest Thanksgiving film. There are some issues in it. Honestly, I think it was a pretty good movie where it tells a story of, this family drama. This girl's trying to figure out herself if she's gay or not. And overall, it's just a nice little story. There are some humor bits, though there's some things that are just unexpectedly not funny. And I just don't like the way they do that. But overall, it's a nice little film, and I do enjoy it a good bit. This movie is actually a movie that I really liked, where it focused on this island that was kind of focused on the idea of fantasies. And for some reason, a lot of people didn't really like this movie for some reason, which I don't really understand why. But it actually told a pretty cool story. It actually did some pretty cool stuff with everything. And overall, it worked for me. I thought this film actually worked. It had some cool action, and overall it was pretty cool. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I actually forgot what this film was about. So I don't really know what to say in this part, but I remember that I gave it a positive score. So that's pretty much all I remember. I'm sorry. I am very, very sorry. Alright, now this is actually a pretty great little film, as you got this story about a dog that stars Harrison Ford. As this dog is, trained, that lives in this country, but then he becomes a racing dog, a sledding dog, and it's just overall a really heartwarming story. It's overall a pretty good movie. Harrison Ford is great in it, and honestly, the CGI with the dog to make it look a little bit more realistic, it was cool, but I'm not the biggest fan of the way the dog looks. And it's pretty clear that they did CGI with this dog, where they could have just made it like all the other ones and just made him a real dog. They could have just brought a real dog in, though. There's probably no way that real dogs can do this, because I'm pretty sure there are real sled dogs out there, but not like that. So overall, it was a good film, but it's not my favorite. Now, this was actually a film I really enjoyed. I thought it was such a fun time just watching this kid do his little business and, having this imaginary polar bear with him and, telling this business and, having all this talk about, he's going to middle school next year and it's not going to be the same like elementary school. And it's that's exactly how I felt when I was going to middle school, when I was going to 6th grade. And it was honestly just a fun experience. All the characters are well done, and overall the movie is just a nice little entertainment value for me, so I really enjoyed this film. And for me, I really enjoy Night at the Museum. I'm pretty sure I saw this a long time ago, but it really is just a good movie, where you got Ben Stiller being this night guard for this Natural History Museum in New York City, and as soon as the sun goes down, all of the statues and animatronics come to life. And you just get it just turns into this fun world that you like to be in, where you get to see these bones of the T-Rex, you get to see all of the animals come to life, you get to see, even though it actually has a good cast, you got Robin Williams as Theodore Roosevelt. You got not Will Smith, Owen Wilson as Jedediah, and the cast in here is just great. The dumb guy, he's of course fun. Then overall, the movie just impacts itself with great characters. Dick Van Dyke, I thought, was pretty good in this role. Just add a nice little sense to it. And while I'm not the biggest fan of them coming to life because of this whole ancient Egypt magic thing, I'm not the biggest fan of that, but this is definitely something that I definitely appreciate and I really like. Now, this was a movie that I really enjoyed, where it basically just did everything you loved about the original film, and it amplifies it to the next level, where they take this story of these characters getting sent out up to the Washington, D.C. Museum. So Ben Stiller has to go to the Washington, D.C. Museum, and first off, you get a nice little fun interaction between Ben Stiller and Jonah Hill, which I thought was hilarious, where they're arguing about, putting a flashlight on it and being night guards, and you have this cool little action sequence. Well, not little action sequence, but it's a nice little move that he does where he's like, "You don't know the meaning of the word night guard," and then he clocks the flashlight and all the batteries fall out, and it was so funny. And it's like, I'm just sitting here going like it has a fun interaction, but it's so hilarious in the way it's done. And then, of course, you get like this whole new world of characters. You get to see a giant Abraham Lincoln. You get to see Amy Adams as one of the first people that flew across the Atlantic Ocean. You also just get to see this new Theodore Roosevelt, who I guess has no body, no legs, and overall it's just a great little film. And the idea of introducing that ancient Egypt stuff and all that cool stuff, which is set up for the new animated film that's coming out in a couple of weeks. Well, actually next week. It overall was just a great film. It had some cool action, had some cool character moments, and overall just used the characters in nice ways that I loved. So I really enjoyed this film a lot. Now for me, I thought this was a very good film, where you have this family living in New York, and it basically kind of is very realistic, where a lot of people are homeless. They're kind of like sleeping in a car. They go to a place to listen to music. They're trying to get food. They're trying to get a job. And it's just overall heartbreaking. Because that's kind of how life is. And not just in New York, but it's real. Where you're in this big city and you have no other place to really go. And it's just sad. So I thought this film was great. And it was just a pretty sad film, though. Alright, so for me, when I first watched this film, I was, interested, because, it starred Will Ferrell. And so I entered the movie. It's basically, I was thinking at the first scene when you see this family skiing, I'm like, yeah, someone's gonna die. Someone in this picture is definitely gonna die. Something is gonna happen that's gonna be catastrophic for this family. So we enter the movie, and it's basically like this family of four, basically up in the mountains. They're skiing. They're there for the, I guess, weekend or something. I don't know. They're on vacation, and they're just having quality family time. They're in the room planning stuff, doing all that stuff. And also it stars Julia Louis-Dreyfus from Falcon Winter Soldier, Seinfeld, as well as Black Widow, and of course Black Panther: Wakanda Forever and Thunderbolts. And they're eating, and then they go ahead and eat lunch outside of this little place, and they see a mountain have an avalanche. And obviously everybody's excited because it's like, it looks so cool. But then it's like, it's not stopping. It keeps coming, and coming, and coming, until it hits the people that's eating lunch outside. And when you're in this moment, you're like, oh shit, something's gonna happen. This family's gonna die. How are we gonna continue this film? And of course, the family's alright. But the thing is, it's like, what? How are you gonna do an avalanche like that and just continue the film normal? And for somehow, Netflix or Hulu found some different way to actually tell an avalanche story without killing anyone. Where you actually have this conflict between Will Ferrell and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Which, by the way, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, this is probably some of her best acting by far. Because as soon as after that avalanche hit, because if you remember, the avalanche hit, Will Ferrell's character just ran off, and she leaves the family to die. Obviously, they were okay after the avalanche. She just hit down and protected them. But she was prepared to die. And the conflict that happens between their two was really interesting. And it's like, I was all there for it. And it's like, you can understand their reasonings for it. And I was thinking, like, at the end of this film, something bad was going to happen, but honestly, there wasn't really anything. And then when you get to the end, a pile of snow falls, and they're like, what does that mean? So, overall, this film was great. Will Ferrell, Julia Louis-Dreyfus was amazing. I love this movie. That's my favorite film of November of 2022 of retro films. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All my social media stuff is in the About section over there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.